You wouldn't be wrong for mistaking Princess Khaleeda's story for a fairy tale. She went from an ordinary girl to a princess and consort to the regent of the royal house in Malaysia. But how did she capture the attention and love of the Crown Prince of Johor? And what was the reaction of the Malaysian royal family? Watch this video to find out. Make sure to stay until the end to find out why the marriage of Khaleeda and the Prince of Johor almost fell apart after her mum nearly had a heart attack. Welcome to Crown Tale, and let's get right into today's video. Princess Khaleeda is known as a Cinderella of Malaysia because just like Cinderella, she wasn't a princess and had no connection with royalty of any kind. Born as the fifth child of a single mother, it was unimaginable that she would grow up to join the ranks of the most powerful family in Malaysia. Her mother, Ajaya, did everything to raise her 5 children and give them the best education she could afford. That was why she got a contract with the English government to work at the Malaysian High Commission in the UK. She took Khaleeda along with her, who was 10 years old at that time. While in England, the young Khaleeda attended the prestigious Westminster Academy and also studied at St George's School in London. She took her academics extremely seriously in London, and by the time she was done at the academy, she was fluent in English and Spanish. She would later graduate from the National Open University. When Asaya's 6-year contract ended in the UK, she returned home to Malaysia with Khaleeda. They settled at Kuala Lumpur, and Khaleeda focused all her energy into her studies. But studies aside, Khaleeda was an avid sports enthusiast. She loved activities across different sports, particularly horse riding and other equestrian sports, and this love for horses eventually led her to destiny. At a polo event in the Malaysian capital, Khaleeda was approached by a young competitor in the game called Ismail. Aside from being a charming young man, he appeared to be an ordinary nice guy. This could have been further from the truth. This seemingly ordinary looking guy was the Crown Prince of Johor. Ismail Iskandar was the first son of the ruler of all of Malaysia, Sultan Ibrahim. The fact that she didn't know who he was gave her a great opportunity for a valid experience of love at first sight, void of personal interest and the hope of benefit. As much as Ismail intrigued Khaleeda, the Crown Prince was equally smitten by the beauty and grace of Khaleeda, and they began a relationship immediately. By the time Khaleeda discovered who Ismail was, she was already deeply in love with him. However, she understood that there was a possibility that she might just be a hobby to the Crown Prince, who may choose to settle down with a lady of aristocratic background. It was not just Khaleeda that saw this. When her mother, Azaya, heard about her daughter's lover, she was so worked up by the news that she almost had a heart attack. Being a single mother, she knew the fear of being abandoned and didn't want her daughter to be tossed around just because of a slight chance a billionaire prince could settle for a commoner. The prince saw the need to alleviate Khaleeda's mother's fears and decided to visit her to let her know how serious his intentions with her daughter were. He made her realize that he wasn't playing around with Khaleeda, and she was the love of his life, and he intended to marry her. It was only after this that Khaleeda's mother blessed their relationship. At the royal palace of Sultan Ibrahim, there were a lot of speculations that Sultan may not endorse the wedding because of the background of Khaleeda, but surprisingly, the king and queen of Johor blessed the union with little resistance. Some attributed this to the fact that the queen's mother was a foreigner from England. Also, it is possible that they didn't want their first child to pass through what they went through during their own time. Sultan Ibrahim and his queen, Sheikha Zarif, had to negotiate between their families who opposed their wedding. Queen Zarif, who was from the royal house of Pika, was denied by her family by marrying Ibrahim because his father, Sultan Iskandar, was accused of a lot of things including murder. Eventually, the two lovers were able to scale through and settle the differences between their warring households, which makes for an incredible love story. If you'd like to learn more about them, feel free to check out our previous video, diving into their inspirational love story. Aside from this, Khaleeda was a prize. Despite not being royalty, she was a kind, beautiful and highly educated young woman, fluent in Malay, English and Spanish. It was these qualities that Ismail and his parents saw in her that led them to welcome her into the house of Johor with open arms. Their wedding took place after 2 years of dating on October the 24th, 2014. It was done in a very mild fashion at the request of the groom and bride, who announced the date just a few days before it commenced. Despite this, the reception was a lavish event that took place November 8th of that year at the Royal Palace at Istana Besar. Over 1,200 people attended. Prince Ismail was 30 years old when he got married, while Khaleeda was 21, and they have now been together for over 8 years, with their love seeming to blossom more every day. The wedding was celebrated around the state and the public was invited. High-profile guests like the King of Brunei and the Prime Minister of Singapore were hosted at the extravagant event. But during this period of great celebration, the family also had to deal with a devastating diagnosis. It was revealed that a terminal illness had befallen the Crown King's younger brother, Prince Abdul Jali. He was diagnosed with liver cancer and was said to only have about a year to live. He eventually passed away a year later, but his legacy is a symbol of love and care lived on. During his lifetime, Abdul Jali was known as the people's king of souls. He was loved by all because of his various works amongst the people. He was a police officer, a trained zoologist, and the founder of multiple foundations across various charity organizations. He also launched a sailing competition in Malaysia, which showcased various talents on an international scale. When his illness was announced, it took the entire population by surprise and darkened the joy that came with the news of Khaleeda and Ismail's wedding. On his passing, he was given a state burial and mourned by all. Abu Jali's story is incredible, and you should find out more about it in our previous video, discussing his beautiful life and legacy. It is also worthy to note that Princess Amina, the sister of the Crown Prince, seemed to have taken a note from her elder brother's love story. She vehemently refused to marry according to aristocratic demands, and rejected her father's preferred suitors until she found the love of her life at the age of 29. But lucky man was a handsome European footballer from the Netherlands, Dennis Verbas, who equally loved her passionately. But their union, unlike that of her elder brother, was rejected by her father. It was only after 3 years of staying true to themselves that they were eventually allowed to wed, but only after Dennis had converted to Islam, changed his name to a Muslim name, and denounced every right to a position of office in the royal family. He did all this without thinking twice, and on August the 14th, 2017, Princess Amina and Dennis were wedded. Check out our video down below to find out more about their love story. Now back to Khaleeda and Ismail. After their wedding, the couple went on to have 4 beautiful children, 2 boys and 2 girls. The first child was Princess Amina, Sophia, followed by Prince Ibrahim, who was named after his grandfather Sultan Ibrahim Iskandar. The last 2 children were Prince Abu Bakr and Princess Zarif Azaya, whose 2 names were taken from both her grandmothers. In the early days of January 2024, the Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ibrahim, Ismail's father, was elected as King of all Malaysia, while Ismail was alleviated to the position of Regent or temporary ruler of Johor. On the other hand, Khaleeda became the consort to the Regent of Johor, and the Sultan conferred on her title of Chi Punan Mahkota, which translates to the noble title of lady. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos. Khaleeda has continued to be a symbol of help and justice to the Malaysian people. Even as a loyal wife and dutiful mother to her children, she is actively involved in other impactful activities. She is a Pro-Chancellor of the Malaysian University of Technology and the President of the Malaysian Girls Guide Association of Johor. She is adored for her stance and activism against child abuse and her other involvement in works of charity. Khaleeda truly is an angel in disguise, a personification of the representation of a true Malaysian woman. Unsurprisingly, her people do not hide the pride and love they have for her, because why wouldn't you want the world to know about her? Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.